Clear enough?
Yeah.
Okay. Just try another mouthpiece. You can hear me. Just trying another mouthpiece because the other one is blocking it. Kind of head is too hot. You can let me know if you can't hear me clearly. I will change it to.
I feel the earlier one was clear actually.
Of course, I know that. This is not very good one. I know. Let me come back. This one is much clearer.
Yes.
That's brilliant. I also can hear you better. So let's go back, share my screen with you guys. Let's do this function, the function that we want. So one of the functions that we're going to use is to, when you key press, something should happen. When you key press on this field. So we need to have this thing. I'm just going to copy this. When you type on this and then put on, then the event that we want is called key up. You can have key up, key down, key press. We're going to go with the key up. A function, an anonymous function will be called as soon as I press a key, any key. So this function would be a callback function or anonymous function which doesn't have a name. Anything goes in here will be fired. Of course, any event that will happen when I press key. So I have to put alert. Let's see if it does anything. Key was pressed. You can even get which key was pressed. But let's see. If I press a key, can you see the output?
Yeah.
As soon as you press any key, again, every time you're pressing a key, that fires this function. Okay. You can also say key press, but key up is the one we are looking for. Okay. When you release the key, when you finish typing, not when you start typing. So go ahead and try this if it is working for you. Okay, I'm just going to put a little bit of just testing here. I mean, just type it. Within this, everything going to happen. See if it is firing as you type something.
Yeah, it works.
Brilliant. With this, I want to do something small thing. It's called prevent default. Though we don't have much of the, when you press a key, no event actually firing at this moment. But always do that as a precautious. Everything has a kind of binding. And using event object from the Windows, I remove this. I'm going to say event. This is what I do usually all the time. It's a good idea to do this. It's called prevent, prevent, default. This is, I hope I spelled it correctly. It's quite a long time. Prevent default. Yeah. Even though you wouldn't see significant changes in this, if it was a form submit, then of course it's try to go to separate pages, send the data to whatnot. I always take care of that at the beginning of any function. Also, a small housekeeping for this function is really important. Even though at this moment there's no significant thing will happen because it's not submit. So go ahead and add this. The first thing I want to do, I want to get the value that customer typing, whatever they're typing. To get the value, I'm going to declare a variable and we'll decide to call it form data. So to get the value, I need this again. dot val function. This should give me the value that the customer is typing. Val means value, so whatever the typing on this particular box, I want to get the value and declare a variable, global variable, form, F-O-R-M. I'm just going to call it form data because that's the data coming from a form. I have only one thing, so you can call it anything you like. Okay, so I'm going to collect that information. I'm going to build a Ajax data object with that. So let's have a look how I do this. With each Ajax call, you need to send a piece of data with it using some sort of JSON format. So I'm going to declare another variable called data object, OBJ object in short. To do it, I'm going to use this technique. I'm decided to call this object book underscore name, and then I'm going to put this. That's one thing I've done. Bit complex, as you can see. This is a technique that we use for data. Okay. I'm going to console log this. Okay.
It will be form data, right? Not from.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. Form data. So grab the value, preparing a weird JavaScript data object, which I'm going to send it to database and the PHP. And in PHP, it will be known with this name, book name, post book name, whatever the typing. I'm doing it above the JX by any key press before I call the JX. I'm preparing that data. So let's have a look if I do a console log to this guy. See if I can show you much more easier way. This concept is a bit tricky for many new learners. Using an equal to sign and then these. See if I can make it simpler for you. Let me try this first. Okay. So I need to open my console. I can use the actually alert to do this. Okay, let's put, refresh it a few times. Can you see this on the console, guys?
Yeah.
This is what we are making with that little equal to sign trick. You can also say, you see, every time you're pressing is getting added to it. And if I remove it, it's removing. Go ahead and try this out. Let me before you do this, let me just try one more techniques. Probably would be easy for you to understand. A simpler form of it. This would be much sorry, my apologies. Okay, we try if this did the same thing, then you can simplify it. Yeah, it should work. Try rather this format. You can keep both. If you ever see these, that you know that you can also do like this. This is a tricks you will learn after a long time of doing these things. But not all data can be transferred like that. So first you must try. This This is much easier, is it not? You don't have to use equal to sign. You don't have to concatenate thing. Make it an object like this. If you want, I can give you a copy paste. Do you want this bit in the chat?
No, mine works.
Mine works. Yeah.
Mine works too.
Yeah, it is a little bit typing, so we are not going anywhere. So copy pasting is not really help very much. Even if you do mistakes, still typing is good. I'm going that way because there are a lot of complex things in it. So Elena, how about you? Are you still there? Sadap, Elena? Let me know. Stop me if I'm too fast. Yeah. How far is it going, guys? Shall I give a copy paste? Anyway, I'm gonna give it in the chat. Elena, you there? Sadap, you there? If you're trying here, go ahead. If you're not, that's the function you need.
Okay.
Daddy, why so? Well, you're not supposed to open that. It's your cosmetics.
Okay, so you've done it. So as you can see,
But what
what we
about
did
for my
here
notes?
on key press, we prevent any default event if that key press could cause. We know there is none that we can visibly see. Usually if it was a submit event, then you would have seen the form is going forward, it was submitting to the post super global, blah blah blah. But we can use that with stop event using the event object, saying a built-in function prevent default. Any prevent default is prevented because we have work to do our own. The first thing we did, we declared a variable, local variable, grab the values using val functions, whatever customer typing into this. And we're doing it on key up every time. So you may not expect the whole word. Each time you type, each character is going to be added to the value. It's basically not added to a value function. This function will run every time. If every time you type a character. Now, of course, this data need to be sent to Ajax. So we declare another variable called data object. Object, I call it because it's actually an object. That will have the information that typed by user, the name of the book. But I need a name for it, a key that PHP can understand because we are using ID, not name. So I need to make up one for it. Decided to call it book name. And you must have noticed that how I do these things. You can even do that book name if you don't want form data, because I said form data because it's a form data. But of course, if you say book name, you can change it to book name, doesn't matter. With this format, it's much easier than this format. Now I have a data object. I can console log it. I can ensure that this is there. I'm just printing that object straight away here. Now that I have data on key press, let's go ahead and fire our Ajax function. Okay. Here, of course, I'm gonna do one more tab because that's where we're going with Ajax. To call Ajax, you put this and a dot. That's with jQuery dot Ajax. Okay. Ajax is a built-in feature. Takes an object with many parameters in it. So inside this function, it takes an object with many instructions. So when you write Ajax, you write like this. Okay. And you press enter. Here you type all of your essential built-in object keys and their values. The first thing that you would be doing is called URL or type. Either way, it doesn't matter. You're saying, okay, fetch. I am going to send this data to a particular file. It could be local file. It could be somewhere in another website. So we are using a special file called process PHP. That's going to be the target, the data I want to send. URL is a built-in feature that comes with Ajax. Here, with the double quotation, I'm going to say process.php. Please send this to this guy. It could be a long URL. You saw in API, we use this. So you put a comma. That's one thing, mandatory thing. You tell them how you want to post it, a get or post. And this is called type. Would be post. You can write capital letter, small letter, doesn't matter. Post. Two mandatory things I've done. The third mandatory thing, I need to send now the data object. And in Ajax, we call them data symbol. This name, all these three names are built in. There are plenty of them. Here, of course, I'm going to send my data object that I have prepared on line 10. That's what I'm going to send it to PHP. Of course, to add one more feature, I usually recommend sometime. Those who are practicing many times, it's called cache. Cache false. Don't cache it. Okay. These are some properties. Ajax functions comes with built-in properties. You can search about that. Use the jQuery Ajax and go and see the documentation. But these are the minimum at least you need. These three minimum. Sometimes you have to send headers, these, that, file type. This all depends on how complex things we are doing. Cache is optional. It's good to have it so it doesn't try to cache anything. Now this I have. With this, what it will try to do in the background, going to fetch these scripts, the given path. If it was in a separate folder, let's say library folder, you would have written like this. If it was a separate things in the opeldo.com like this, you would have written like this. So in this case, it is in the same folder. That's one important thing. And you're saying what type, post or get. You're saying we're going to post it, we're going to collect, we're going to send it. What data you would like to send? I said these guys, whatever they finally typed. And cache, don't cache it. So these are predefined parameters I have to satisfy. On top of that, I have some methods. So if this goes to process.php, process.php will do something about it. After doing whatever it does, it's going to echo something back to us. Response. This response, if successfully, this file was found, there is no wrong thing happen in PHP, I will receive a response. This response could be failure, an error message, a success with data, God knows what. And it has a built-in function called success. It will come to that function, success. So let's write this. That's a method now. So because that's a method, we write like this. Whatever data come from it, it comes as a parameter, goes, sits inside this parameter. Okay, you can call it response. You can give it any name. Okay, you can call it response. It's not a problem. Or you can even call it data. Who cares? This is the different data than this data. You can call it return data. It doesn't matter. This function will now, you can print if there is a message comes successfully. I can console log it. Response. Okay. So that's good. Okay, that's pretty much it. You can have other functions like complete, error, blah blah blah. We're gonna keep it very simple here. Okay. Go ahead and type this. Let's switch this up. It's gonna give me trouble. Go ahead and type this Ajax. Tidy it up a little bit. You can also write a little bit like end of. That's your Ajax. I'm gonna send it in the chat in case if we need to test this if it is working before we send do something about it. I send it in the chat. Go ahead and add this bit. If you want, I can give you the whole scripts here with you guys in the chat. Let me give you the whole scripts. Excuse me. Not BookInfo. Sorry, not that file. It's a JScript file. I send the script files. If this copy pasting code is complex, then I send you the scripts files, guys. If you're not in a position to type these things, at least try this. Semicolon is not necessary, but I'm gonna add it anyway. Let me know if it is added. Okay, I'll send you that. But of course, we're gonna move into process PHP to see if you can grab that value there from here to there and somehow echo it back. Just a test they're working. They're connected. Did you guys get the script file?
Yes.
Just add it. Because I'm explaining this, so it should be fairly simple for you to understand, just to process, speed up the process. So let's go to process PHP. Here I'm going to definitely do a little check. But before I do any check, you notice that I do not actually have any local host. I do not have config file here. I actually do not have any. So I'll have to somehow connect to the database. We're gonna do this here, but before do all those complex things, let's find out whether they're communicating. To do this, I'm gonna use a very basic of isSet function. Okay, make sure there is no space on the top, just to make sure of this. And here I'm going to say if isSet, our favorite isSet function, of course, isSet, and we know I'm using post super global because I said type post. And what is the name, can you guess, that I gave for my data field, the data that I'm packing?
It's a data object.
Nope.
Form data.
Nope. For PHP. What is the purpose of this one? Can you see my mouse moving?
Yeah.
That's the name.
Okay, that's
one way you can find out from my code is always, if it is a PHP variable, I use underscore. It's JavaScript. So even though you have a JavaScript name, you won't be able to send directly like this. You need to give another key name, which you collect, because this data can contain so many different variants. A name of a book name could be so many things. So how are you going to guess it? What customer? So we don't do that. We create a container name and put whatever the content, dynamic content, in that container name. We use this to collect in the PHP. Always remember that. You have to give it a name, whatever you like to call it. Okay, that's it. You may wonder, whether can I do these things here as well? Of course you can. If you want to eliminate this variable, you can also do that here. Directly here. You can also do that here. This also work. In fact, to make it even simpler, if this makes sense to you, you can even do this here. Pretty much in the data you can put like this. And this difference is, this case, when the Ajax fires, then only the data will be created. This case will be created earlier. See if we can get this done. Sometimes what happens, when you have a lot of data like this, comes from a different form elements. Let's say you have many fields. Then putting it here is quite cumbersome because it's going to be big. You're going to go all the way there. So why don't you process them beforehand? That's why the idea is here, if there is, for example, in this case, you only have one field, the book field. But what if the form is big and you want to individually capture all the item, pack into this data variable? That case, you would be preparing them prior, because in the above you have a lot of spaces. Here it might go big up to here. Might make it complex for you to navigate through the code. But because we have one thing here, we can just put it like this. Another technique is we use to avoid this, to serialize something called serialize the form data, or make an array, rather put everything in an array and send it in an array. Many ways people do this. But if it's a simple data, you can just do like this. Okay, you can just change this, make these changes. So I have done that. Let's now check whether I can check it. So I take this name here, I come here, if is set, post is set. This is one check I want to make. I also want to make, things can be set, but things can be set with empty string. That's the danger. So is set alone cannot do the job. I need to also make sure that I'm checking for emptiness. Emptiness is a very good function in PHP. It allows you to check everything literally. So just gonna use take power of both of them. And I said AND operator. If not empty is one of the blessed function by PHP. I wish the JavaScript had similar thing to solve undefined, emptiness, null altogether. For JavaScript, we have to write so many things. Or with the PHP, it's really simple using empty. So if this is the case, if there was something set and if it is not empty, it's an AND operator. So both has to be satisfied. We want to print it, for example. Let's say we want to store it in a local variable. I'm going to call it book name. Same again. Equals to grab it. Okay. At the moment, we're not doing very complex. We're not talking to database or anything. We're just making sure that these things works. That's the objective of it. We can get a reply back from it. To get a reply, anything you reply from this file, we're not searching database yet. Anything you echo from this file, we'll go back to JavaScript in the success function inside the response object variable. Let's have a look. Let's do a echo. You may say, why are you doing it round trip to print it? You could have just printed it in JavaScript. Well, that's what tells us that whatever I'm going to print on the console, actually doing a round trip from HTML to JavaScript to process from here and then go back to the success function, do a round trip check. You can even add something with it if you want. You can add from to double check PHP. Just to to double check it, you can do like this. Do you know on the console that it is actually from the processor file? Okay, just to double check. Go ahead and add this. Let me just try this first before I give it to you, these two files. We already have response here, so let's have a look. I have switched off any other console log here. So you only console log, you will see the response from the server. So let's go to console, refresh it a couple of times, start typing. Can you see? Let me know if you can see with a little delay.
Yeah.
This proves the data went all the way from the HTML to JavaScript through Ajax to the PHP, and the reply from the PHP was simple, return the same name back, which comes back inside the success function as the response variable. Excuse me, it's just console logging it here. If you click here, that's what it is. So that gives us a success rate that we made a good communication. Sometimes you're dealing with very API from some other servers. You want to check this first before you can work with the data. It's a simple check that we've done. To make absolutely sure you can do that, obviously I wrote from PHP word, so it's coming from there. And also, one more technique you can follow is like this. Go to network, check this out, click on fetch, or this is the Ajax object. Here it will tell you what is the condition of that. You'll find that in the network tab.
Daddy,
Let me just see if I
I'm
can
go hospital.
make it
My
bigger.
feet hurt so much here. It's never gonna go away.
Here you go.
I'm gonna go hospital.
Underneath is going to show you 200. It's going to show you which file is trying to communicate every time you press your key. The status is 200 is all good. If I've done a mistake, you would see a bad request or something. If the file was not found, it's different thing. So you can see how long it took. It tells me that it's 1 day. It's the same as local file and remote server. You can see status. Let's say we make a mistake on the process. I'm going to call it process2.php. This is on purpose. Okay, just change the name of the processor, which doesn't exist, and I'm obviously going to type something. As I'm typing, can you see it's the red color? It says this. Let me know if you can see.
Yeah.
Just because I changed the file name to process part2.php, which doesn't exist. I don't have a file like this. So your network tells you what's the problem as well. Then we can do a lot of things with it. So of course you can see the network tab. You'll find it here, like your applications, things, network is here, and the fetch object or ZAR is another way to tell. Of course, this will give me errors as well, saying the file is not found. That's what 404 a post method telling me. So let's fix it, and I'm going to give it to you guys. These two files, put it in your so that's the updated scripts. That's the processor.php. Oh no, why I'm giving index? Process.php, sorry. The process.php and script.php, these two files you need with the update that I made. So last two files I finished sending. Process.php and script.php. Please let them see if you're getting the response back like this. This variable name here, you can call it anything you like. Sometimes people call them data as well. So that data not going to conflict with this data, so don't worry. That's a callback. It comes with its only response. The success function has been designed to read those network information. If you do master this asynchronous, you'll find learning React or Node much easier. Let me know if you have any success. Take your time.
So, but I'm getting an error actually.
What is saying?
Uncaught reference error, data object is not defined.
Okay, can I have a look quickly?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Can you speak?
Let me bring it over. uncaught error from data. Okay, success response. Uncaught type error. Right. Online. Data object is not. What is it? Data object is not defined.
Yeah, data object.
Defined. Okay. Data object is not defined. Form data is on a script number. What is the line? 11. Oh yes, just console log. You see on line 11 on your JS, we are trying to console log something, don't we?
Yes.
We don't have that anymore. So just turn it off. Because remember that is I just switched off. So just double / refresh it. It should go away. Now of course you need to show me the process file a little bit.
It's the same process file.
Very good. Well done. So now go to scripts. Inside the success function, write a console log to print the response that coming from the server. So console.log. And there's a function, so put a bracket, put response. Response variable. That is, so when server responses comes to the success functions, sits in this parameter called response. You can call it anything. And try now. You can just type in. Don't worry about those yellow warning. They're not gonna cause an issue.
Yes. No. Okay.
You're getting something, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. Brilliant job. And check your network as well. See the jar objects is giving you. Yeah, perfect. Green.
Yeah.
And everything is 200. There would be somewhere even you could be able to see the type, sizes, whatnot. Well done. This is good. Otherwise, you will see a red color. Let's see here, red color. There is a bottom somewhere you will be able to see even the number, the local host. This is Firefox. I see. Slightly different.
Yeah.
But it's fine. That's
My
fine.
Chrome doesn't work properly.
You need to one of the thing is try this. Why not? It should work now. Chrome updates automatically.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah. Chrome, even though don't give up on Chrome's, even if it does, leave it for a few days, it will update, self-update.
Yes. Yeah,
But Firefox is a really good browser as well for developers.
I check on both my browsers.
It's a good idea. I do that as well. A brilliant job.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Guys, you got the idea right now. Those who are with me and here in this journey, at least we're not doing you seeing these things, right? So now, of course, any question if you have, how this thing's happening, if you have any question from this diagram, from index to the Ajax to the process file, and we are replying back. We're not communicating with database now. We're just echoing back to this. This guy is gonna go back to console. We haven't involved our database here. Okay.
So I have a question.
Sure.
Do we need the jQuery to run Ajax?
No, we don't.
Okay.
You can use vanilla JavaScript
PHP as
HTTP
well?
object. Yeah. You need. You can use any server side with Ajax. You can use Python, ASP, PHP. All you need is server side. It will be the same process.
Oh.
But it's a good question. Do I need jQuery to do Ajax? Can I not do vanilla? I would say don't wait few more days. That's because the current vanilla solution for jQuery uses XHTML, XSML, HTTP request object, which is you can still use to do vanilla, but except this is not gonna support old browsers. but all new browser now adopted it. Okay, XML HTTP object. I probably will show you later at some point. So people don't take risk for it. The developer, they with jQuery solve that problem using much more simplified version of this because the browser war. But as the ES6, you heard about ES6, right?
Yes.
And it is already ES6 thrown out those things. They rather built an API to support you because of this. Which after that, which you do not need maybe jQuery to do this. That's called Fetch API.
There was this website actually, caniuse.com, where you can just put your tag and it shows which browser it supports.
Can I use it? Yes, that's a very one. Fetch API is the solution of this problem. That is a JavaScript ES6 feature. Okay, you can read more about them if you say Fetch API MDN. This I will see. You can use this to the fetch. Maybe some point I will throw that as well. But jQuery is here to stay for a long time. It makes number of reasons. jQuery not only makes Ajax easier, but also provides a bunch of functionality like this. It makes your life altogether much more easy and robust. It's reliable. That's why I think I recommend using jQuery first. The concept makes it really simple. So if you want to see, if you just say a little bit of search, let's say Ajax JavaScript, for example, W3 School, for example, just search randomly and you'll see it will talk about those things because they talk about the vanilla one. So this is it. This is the solution of. You see this? Can you see it's written? It says the modern browsers can use Fetch API instead of this guy. I was talking about this guy. This is the solution of vanilla JavaScript. They call us XML HTTP request object. As Fetch API has been built, we would not use this, but we will still use jQuery until this is completely ready. Modern API, most of the modern browser can support it.
IE doesn't support it, I guess.
IE doesn't support it, yeah. but Edge, Microsoft Edge supports it.
Yes.
They will ditch IE very soon. Edge is like a copy paste of Google Chrome. Edge, Microsoft Edge, but it's still millions of people using IE because it's shipped with Windows operating system. Yeah, and that's why. So maybe things that is going to be absolute is not a good idea to write with this. Rather use jQuery because jQuery is an open source. It's not vendor specific. You know, it will guarantee you run your thing. So until Fetch is completely accessible by all, it is accepted actually. More border browsers actually support Fetch API. In that case, we continue with jQuery. Does it make sense?
Yes.
But if you want to try this out, you can just check with this kind of. You see, this is what it does. They create a new object with it. You use onload. They call it function. They call it response tags. Remember, we call response. So they call it, and instead of this PHP, it will be process.php instead of Ajax info text. If you want to implement this, it will be just change this bit. Job is done basically. Obviously, a bit backdated. Still works, but because of that. So yeah, that would be my suggestion. So a very good question. So let's go ahead and add our.
Kashfia, wait a minute. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry. How does? Oh my God.
It's okay.
ওই ঘরে যাও Ashmiya, ওই ঘরে যাও
Daddy, Daddy, I forgot my paper.
Sorry guys. How does data object is connected with the response? Is
Which
it
data?
in Ajax, inside the Ajax, when
this one?
when the function is success,
Mhm.
you're saying here response and you console it. So how does this response is taking the value from data?
Which is coming from the server.
Right?
So basically how happened, Mr. Hogg, is the success function, you see, it's a built-in function.
Mm-hmm.
It comes with Ajax bunch of functionality. Okay, so success function looks into your network traffics. Look at that. In here, it's reading here. It's reading this guy here. They have been built in to read any network response come from the server. Now, what do I mean by response from a server? You see, because we consider this as a server script, don't we? The process PHP.
Yeah.
So you see, when I say response, this guy, whatever is responding using an echo function or print R or var dep, this goes to a network response, and automatically your this function has been designed. You don't see its body, do you? You're just calling it, don't you?
Yeah.
It is built in within your jQuery 3.0. There is one of those functions written here, how it knows how to read. You see, this is your jQuery. There you will find that function some point if you scroll enough. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this has been built in. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
All Ajax functionality, but that's why it does maybe somewhere here.
So does it means that whatever the value you getting at line number 15 inside the data, it is actually going to the function on when it is success through the parameter response?
No, this has nothing to do with this guy. Remember, this data has nothing to do with this. This data actually packing this information, sending it to this file. Remember, this file.
Okay.
And don't get confused between this and this. The job of sending data is finished here.
Mm-hmm.
URL tells once the Ajax initiated, the first thing it says where to go.
Right.
Type tells how to send. Using
yeah.
post. The data tells a piece of data you collected with a name, book name.
Mm-hmm.
It's all going to the process.php, Mr. Hogg.
Mm-hmm.
Success has no idea of these things. Success is a built-in function. Keep waiting for it, for the response comes.
So when success start working on process.php?
When the process.php respond back at this line.
Okay, at this line you printing the
whatever I collected from the data.
From okay.
It's a round trip. It's a round trip. So basically I'm sending this piece of data with a name.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like HTML, you put a name attributes.
Mm-hmm.
Similar, you give it a name, whatever you choose it. And these three things doing one thing. This thing's objective, grab this server-side script, post this information to it.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to, of course, your Ajax will open it up in the background. You see, and then when it's opening up in the background, it started executing line by line, don't they? Because you're compiling it, but you're not seeing on the browser, but it's happening in the background. This script triggers this script. Always remember, whatever you write it, it's gonna triggers. It's gonna start compiling if it exists. The first thing is checking whether. Remember what the name we gave? We call it book name. Book name. method, we use post. We're just absolutely making sure this exists. It's been set and it is not empty. Then I'm just declaring a local variable, collecting just like the data came from the post super global, putting it there. So your script is sending these pieces of information to the post super global variable. Okay, and also is saying to open up this file. So when you open up this file in the background, which is already happening in the background, you manually not gonna open it. Your script gonna open it. Your script's gonna communicate, and then because it's already sent the post data called post name, I presume I will have that in a post super global because you use post. You're just collecting it, putting in a local variable, and just echoing back, responding back. So when it's finished its execution, you receive a response, hello, hi, from the server back to this guy. And when it comes back to this guy, a function sits, waits for it. This function has the mechanism in a tidy up these files. If anything comes back from the processor file or process.php, whatever respond, it could be error, it could be file not found, it could be, it comes and sits into this callback function called success, into this variable. This has been designed. You can call this to data as well, not a problem.
Yeah, that's
you can call this as data as well. You can call it, it's need a container, basically. It's a container. And this invisible data that you don't see is actually visible to the network interfaces. The internal curriculum is much more complex than this. So one response, this been called, post data has been post, this will, and this guy is going to execute its response back, comes back to this, to this guy.
So after line number 15, that data is going to process PHP.
That's correct. That's correct.
And then process PHP, process PHP taking the value here, as you have written, is taking the value into book name and echoing.
Taking the value from the post super global.
From the post, and echoing it here.
Echoing it back again.
And then from the process, it's going back to function success again.
That's correct. That's correct. Success will only fire when the response found. Right. So if the processor file not going to give any echo, you'll see an empty string there. Empty, nothing. It should, if you see errors, then maybe this file was not found, then a network protocol will produce 404 error. Okay, so something will come back to it, success. So this function is built in.
Okay.
So from here is there to here. Sometimes for new learner, why is the success is how this is a mechanism. This is the built-in mechanism for Ajax. That's how it's response back. Even if WT School manual one also does the same thing, actually, they use the same techniques. So all the things happening in the background, actually, you see, you open, there is open function, use get method, it's reading things. I'm posting is reading something from the text file. And then obviously, when it comes back, this is like a success function for it, and you just print that response text. This is the same thing. It's a read from the network parameter. It can read it, all the response back to it. So where am I? Here. Is it clear?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Just think like it's happening in the background.
And then this function, success function, is built up. Inbuilt, and they build it like that. That's correct. That's correct. To read your network traffic. Yeah, any response comes from the network traffic or process PHP or the file that your API. Any response comes is stored in a network protocol as a header, and the success function is designed to read it. Just imagine that, how powerful that is. Any response come from if this is a weather API.
whatever it's sending back is going to send in your network protocol, a layer of system developed. And then success function knows how to read it, simple as that, and grab the data. That's it. It sends a lot of information, as you can see. If I go here, it sends a lot of information. Can you not type these, God knows what. So many information is sending between two. It's mostly network technology, Mr. Hawk. So, might be a bit complex to understand immediately. The whole thing is happening between a network. A network provides when network responds back, because at the moment our service is our own machine, then a lot of things going on between this communication between client. This work as a client, that work as a server. If it is even a remote server, the response comes and in the network layer that can be catch using the success function as a built-in jQuery function. And it's called success actually. It's called success. So you can do this. Okay, that's pretty much it. And now this is where you're going to do things, whatever you like to do. So for now, we have nothing actually doing. We're not doing much. But we are proving a point that we did complete a round trip all the way back. We are not sending it to database here, not doing anything. Okay. So, of course, this processor file, of course, this data, why did we prepare this data, guys? We prepared this thing so we can search the database, don't we?
Yeah.
Is it not? But we don't have any database connection here. So let's make one at the top, okay? So I'm going to declare a few variables, host, these things I could still also do this thing in a config PHP for these simple scripts. I'm not going to do that. But you can move it to this localhost. And I declare another variable called username. That would be root. You have seen this before. I'm just preparing my connection to database. Then I need a password, which is empty. Nothing. And what is the name of the database? I think it's called BookInfo. Okay, we need this first. With that on hand, declare a variable called con. Remember the con variable used to do this? Similar thing. Try to connect MySQL. Remaining procedure is similar. Connect. Function takes 4 parameters. The first parameter it takes is the host name, username, password, and database. So let's do this all 4 of them. First name is host. That's one parameter gone. Now you see it's nice how lovely is highlighting what you need next. Username is the username. Username, comma, then goes the password, which is password variable, then goes the database name, which is put into a DB name, right? Guys, help me. That's it. That's pretty much it. Your con variable. Now, did I do wrong? Yep. Password spelling wrong. With these 4 parameters, now this will try to connect with my database. If everything is okay, and con variable should have some source of information. So let's do a Verdum. See if it is can give me any true or false of this guy. I'm not doing any error handling or anything. I'm just going to quickly try this out in my console. Anything that echo means echo function, Verdum, or printer should be visible here. Because anything that's response. Yeah. Can you see this response? That's my object. I pressed 3 times, that's why. So we are successfully connected with the database. I got a lot of information from connection object. This is good. And if I do mistake, for example, let's say that if I try that, issues like this. See, everything is responding. I can print it in a console log. So of course I did a mistake, so let's fix it. So everything is good. Now that I have this connection object, all I have to do, write a little bit of SQL to send it to database. Okay, so let's do this quickly. Declare a variable. I'm not going to call any function or anything. I'm going to declare a variable called SQL. I'm going to write. Now this is interesting. Watch this. Select that's the name of the column, book name. Let's have a look. It's called book name. Can you see? So it says select book name. I just want the name. I don't want other information. Just one column. From, let's call it capital. Which table? Book list. Look at that. Book list. But now our query need to be a bit clever, because it's a like keyword we're gonna use. Book list. Okay. Where book name. Book name like. This is the operator we're going to use. Now like operator takes two parameters. So we're starting with book name variable, whatever you send, plus anything start with that character plus a percentage sign, which means any other character followed by this. And I'm gonna finish it. That's my select in SQL. Select book name, only that column from book list table where book name like. This is the search like keyword. Of course, I need to exclude it with the single quotation mark because it's a variable. I already have a double quotation, that's why. So PHP will treat this as a book name, whatever you're typing. With a percentage with like operator gives you whatever you're typing followed by any other characters. So that's what we need. So that's a SQL statement. Now send it to database. This SQL statement. To send it, I need to use a function called MySql. You already know this thing. Query and send you SQL. But this query takes two parameters. One, the connection object, and the SQL itself. Of course, this function, if successful, return a specific object. We call them result set object. It's not the actual data yet, but a lot of information about that particular records. So we need a variable where we want to store it. RESULT. Usually people call them result set, and you can call it result. So one step. This is one step, and now the injection. If everything goes well, it will return some technical information, just like con does. Not all of this function returns the data directly, step by step. So whatever that is, the result object, it has one key information for us. How many number of row was found matching this? Let's say I want to run this in the SQL to show you. So I have a lot of data here. Let's run SQL with a like keyword. If I would like to write it like this book name, I'm just going to say A. I have something to do with A. Give me all these things that had A. And if I haven't done wrong, I should be able to see things that is with A. Can you see? Look at that. Anything that starts with A, because that's the customer one, followed by any number of characters. And we found two record matching with that. Anything starts with A followed by any number of characters. To denote any number of characters, use ampersand sign. Okay? So that's what we did. So this function should give us what I did. If I say B, of course, if there is anything with B, it will give me. So that's what we want. So we run it. Now let's see what this var dump. Let's var dump this guy. Result, just like we did for con. Just check what is it. Now, if there is any result come, if there is any row come, as you can see, I've got how many got? I got 2 rows here, matching with these circumstances. If and then result object should have that information within it. We call it number of rows. Let's have a look. I am going to print it here. A. So I just press A. Can you see number row? How many of them?
2.
2.
2. Brilliant. Where did you see it? Here. 2 of them we found. Look at that. We found 2 actually. The same A. Because I pressed A. And this result of actually has a lot of information we need. It's still not the result itself. Or the rows or the data. We haven't had the data yet. These are step by step. It says how many fields you targeted. 1 field. Because here, if you look at that, I said here, select book name column only. That's why it's giving me book. So count of, so the result object has information like for me, helpful information like field count, row counts. With these number of rows, now I can check if there was none left. For example, have a look. If I had L, I don't have any book with L. Number of row is 0. So with that in my mind, I can, if there is a number of row greater than 0, that means that we got the data. If number of rows is less than, I mean, it is equals to 0, that means we haven't got the data. We're going to send this information based on that. So to do this, as you can see, these objects are very important. They have hidden information in them. So now I know number of rows. Luckily, to check number of rows, MySQL I provided function. It's called number of rows. So let's do this check. And you can this function return trues with the number of rows. How many of them? If there is more than 0, it will say 2 or 3, whatever it is. If it is less than 0, it's false. So let's go ahead and fire this and check it. MySQL num rows. They will have a function for it, which requires is to give the result object, because result object had that information, is greater than 0. So this function, if you hover on it, will tell you. Let me see if I did mistake. If num rows result. Sorry, my apologies. I should have done this and get rid of this. So basically, this is it. If you look at this, it says gets the number of rows in a result. But it returns. This returns number of rows in the result set. If it is success. If it is failure, it is false. So I'm just doing a check with this. If this is the case, that means we have some records coming in. And I want to iterate through them. To do the iterate through them, now I'm going to try to collect actual data. Because if it is the case, if it is not the case, of course, let's write the else bit. I'm going to send a signal saying echo, just for fun. I'm just going to put a token. I always do that. No record. No record. Okay, that's what I'm going to send as a gesture of my information. So that's whole thing knows what to do. If it's greater than 0, we'll do something about it. If it is else, I'm going to send a token. You can make it an error number E001 or something like that. I just said no record, simple. And here, I'm going to write a while loop. A while loop is a very interesting factor. It's going to read. It's going to try to fetch all the records for us using until it's reached to the bottom of the records. So I have 2 records. It's going to run twice. If it is 3 records, it's going to run 3 times. So this while loop will do the job until truth. That it's going to do this. I'm just going to have this until truth. True record was found. So this is what we are going to do. In this construct, I have a function which allows me to fetch the actual rows. At the moment, if you look at the rows, I will have only the names, but they are rows just with one column. So I have 2 rows. So the MySQL use a function. If you want to collect them as an array, MySQL I fetch array. Okay, that's the function I'm going to run. So let's do this. MySQL I fetch. There are a lot of them. I'm gonna fetch them as an array. Okay, this is the function I'm going to call, which will collect them as array one by one. Okay, as it goes through. And of course this guy needs result object as well to do the job, just like this. It said, could you please fetch each of them as an array? So my question is, guys, if I have 2 of them, how many array it has to fetch?
Two. It's 2.
2. Brilliant answer. Each of them, even if we see one thing only, still it will be an array. The while will continue. First it will read it. While goes step by step. It's not going to read all together, remember. It's going to first check first one, grab this information, call it with the name with this, use this as a key, this is a value, grab this in array, and then it moves on. The pointer moves on here, and then grabs it with the key name, whatever it is, put into and it moves on. So as it moves from here to here, it forgets about the previous one. This job is done. But before it forgets about before, we want to transfer it. So that's the tricks. Because while loop not gonna do it itself, it's reading it for you. So at first run, it's gonna give me the first book name as an array. And if I need to store it something, so I'm gonna declare a simple variable called row, because they represent, because remember, while loop is not doing all together, it's doing step by step, row by row. I decided to call it a row. People usually call them as a row. At first call, is going to collect this, because there are 2 found, and put into this guy. While this is all true, yes, and immediately, because I know it's going to move on to the second row and I'm going to forget about the previous one. So I need to transfer it. I need to immediately echo it. Or you can store in a local variable as well. I'm going to echo it. Very simple. To echo it, the technique you use is this. Use the same variable name. That's the name of the variable. And I know the column name is called book name. Name. That's all I'm doing. So when it grabs the first book as an array, it's going to put it into here. This is all good, success. And immediately I'm echoing that name. So the first book will be printed, advanced 3D graphics. Then while loops, go again. Check for next row. This time it's going to grab the next row, which is the book name, is an anatomy of whatever that is. And update this now. Now this will have a new information about a new book. So as it goes along, I'm going to print this information, echoing every time, because otherwise it's going to go away, using the column name, because that's how it's going to grab it as an array. So it's going to keep printing it. Let's have a look if we get a response of this now. Hopefully we get some response. Okay, let's see this. Console log. Let's see. Can you see this is came, guys?
Yes.
And then another book came. I just have to put a break. There are 2 books basically. Can you see? Let's do human anatomy. Can you see? That's what coming through the console now. Your server responded with that, and he's just printing it. how lovely that is. But of course, when I have two books with the same A, as you can see, I need a break between them. So why don't we just print them as a little bit of paragraph, put a paragraph, P tag. That's it, job done. Oh, because I'm putting a double quotation, I need to put this, to concatenate it, because I have this guy other single quotation here. It's just simple. Just do like this. Okay. Yeah. Let's see how it's look like. Good news. Good news, good news. So far, let's have a look. Anatomy. Yeah, I got 2 P. Oh, I didn't close the P, didn't I? Oh dear God, my apologies. So at least we get some information nicely coming to us. Nice. 2 paragraphs. The paragraph will give me the line break anyway, so no problem. And of course, if I do something that I don't have, can you see it says no record? Because I do not have any record. Let me know if you understood this little bit. I'll send you this code to you. So let me just send both of them because we're not going to continue it from here now. I'm going to send you the scripts again. Actually, let me make a little bit of, just update your things after this line. Okay. As I said, we're going to continue this next week, but I will have a little, you can try things out, complete it. So here you go. I send you processor and this both guys. With this, we are receiving the data in the scripts. If found, it's going to print this. If not found, it's going to print this, whatever the server is responding, with the perfect search available for us. Let's tidy up a little bit. And your job is to now see by weekend, you can print this response nicely inside this div. Okay, you have one job that I wanted to give you. That as you type, it's going to print here, which I'm not doing it on purpose. It's going to print list like this. If I do like this, okay. And also, because I have a token called no data, using no data, check, inspect, now inspect what server is responding. If server is responding something called no data, add this there with add classes and remove classes. Okay, just give it a go. Just give it a go. Not today, of course, on Thursday. I'd like to see. Is that okay? Is it fair?
Yes.
Brilliant. I'm going to update this with your Opeldo. So if you would like to download it, please do download it. That is the half done of this setup. Just going to upload it. Which I believe if you've been listening, you've been had a chance to look into it, you should be able to achieve it. Please go and try this. This is gonna be good, and you're here to learn something. Have fun with it. These are advanced. I had to learn things like myself. In software engineering, we just teach networking, but we know what happens after that. Don't teach this much. I'm just gonna delete this. Just quickly give you this again. Set up just with the updates. Okay, I'm just gonna call it update so you can see. Just complete it like if you would. Yeah, is set up but with some updates. Okay, just do your way. It doesn't have to be my way. Like, just update this information. If there is a book, of course you can see the book. If there is no book, of course we're sending information in the database. There's no data. Use that somehow. Here, do all of these things here. Inspect it in the if statement. If it is containing equals to no data word, the no data token, then just write, grab your file data container here by ID. Add the HTML for it with the add classes error, for errors. For error, add the classes. For not error, remove the classes. This should be fairly simple. I have uploaded that in Opello. Please give it a go, okay? When you have time. Is it okay, guys, for today?
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Elena, you
thank
fall
you.
asleep? Anyone fall asleep, Diana, Saddam? I mean, I don't think so. You guys are sleeping. Go ahead. Joking.
Thank you.
See you on Thursday, guys.
Thank
See you
you.
Thursday.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Take care. Bye.
Bye.